Rise and shine, sleepyhead. Time is of the essence, so don't you dare dream about sleeping in. As we say, you snooze, you lose. A new day is upon us, and we are going to seize it and milk it to the very last minute. I must admit, I feel like $1,000,000. And it's all because I hit the hay early, and I was out like a light. I got some shut-eye or 40 winks. Call it what you will. I slept like a log last night. No tossing and turning or nightmares for me. I was sound asleep, like a little baby blissfully lost in its slumber. Up and at 'em, amigos. We'll take a glance at sleep on this week's episode of FYI.
Welcome to For Your Info.
En inglés.
You got it.
Welcome to this, another exciting edition of FYI. And folks, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite hobbies. Well, I don't know if you can consider sleeping a hobby, but I love doing it. But I've got to be honest, though, there is the right number. And what do I mean by the right number? The right number of hours. Because if you don't sleep enough, you're exhausted, you're worn out, you're pooped. And if you sleep too much, that can have the inverse effect. How many times have you slept and you woke up and you didn't know what day it was and you were even more tired than before? That's like when you take those long siestas instead of a cat nap. A lot of experts recommend these days a cat nap if you're going to nap at all. And yes, we say the word siesta. We say the word siesta. We say the word fiesta. We say amigos and cerveza. Do you need anything else, my amigos? Well, yes, you need sleep, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Let's take a look at our intro, which is always chock full of vocabulary. And I gotta tell you something, even if you don't listen to the whole episode, you'll be able to extract some really good vocabulary right from the intro. I started off by saying, "Rise and shine, sleepyhead." Now that's something I say very often. In fact, I say it every morning to a certain someone. You guessed it, my daughter, Lara. I always say, "Rise and shine, sleepyhead," and then I start to open up the blinds. You call them las persianas. Sleepyhead, I think the translation would be dormilón or dormilona. And rise and shine is a very nice way of saying wake up. You can also say wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. As you do in Spanish, we have a lot of different ways to refer to sleep, and we're going to take a look at a lot of them here in the intro. I went on to say time is of the essence. That means that the seconds count. It means we don't have any time to waste. Then I said, don't you dare, ni te atreves, don't you dare dream about sleeping in. And just be careful, I know in Spanish you guys say soñar con is to dream with, right? Soñar con. Well, in English, to dream with is wrong. We say to dream of or to dream about. I dreamt about you last night. I dream of being rich one day, but never to dream with. And it's both a regular and irregular verb. Yeah, so you can have the best of both worlds. Do you want to use it as a regular verb? Then you can say, I dreamed of you last night. And if you want to use it as an irregular verb, you can say, I dreamt of you last night. Either way, it's grammatically correct. I must say I don't have a preference, but just make sure you don't say dream with. And to sleep in, or as the British say, to have a lie-in, is to sleep later than you usually do, because you don't have to work. You don't have a busy schedule. I don't even think you set your alarm on the weekends if you don't have to. And that's a weird one. Remember, your alarm goes off. It sounds like apagar, but it's sonar. And do you know what else goes off? Bombs as well. So it's sonar and estallar. Imagine an alarm clock that goes off like a bomb. I guess you would be wide awake after that. Then I said a very common idiomatic expression that rhymes. You snooze, you lose. It also rhymes in Spanish. El que se fue a Sevilla perdió su silla. Then I said a new day is upon us. This is poetic almost. Nos viene. A new day is upon us. Se avecina might be a good translation. And we are going to seize it. Carpe diem, my amigos. Seize the day. We're also going to milk it to the very last minute. And yes, milk is leche. To milk is what you do to a cow if you're a farmer. But also to milk something is to get as much out of it as you possibly can. To squeeze everything out of it. By the way, I'm going to milk this moment right now to mention my books. In case you didn't know, I have 5 books, and 3 of them are a trilogy called the Milk Trilogy. This book is The Milk, this book is The Milk 2, and finally, the third time's a charm. We finally said it right in English. This book is The Shit, my latest book. Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh, man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend because I've already got plans. Oh, man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer, or football as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace. Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah, wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así da gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damian, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the shit. You can pick up those books wherever fine books are sold. Hey, I told you I was going to milk it. I warned you. Then I said, I must admit, I feel like $1,000,000. And that's what we say when we feel great, better than great. I feel like $1,000,000. And it's all because I hit the hay early. There's another way of saying to go to bed. I think in Spanish you say ir al sobre. Well, we say to hit the hay or to hit the sack, which is a little bit different than rolling in the hay. To roll in the hay is echarse un polvo. To have sex, which is in the movie Young Frankenstein, and you guys can listen to the FYI episodes on sex as well. They just came out a couple weeks ago. And I can't believe we are reaching the end of our 6th season. Folks, that's 30 episodes a season. Well, wait. 60 episodes a season if you're a patron. Because remember, you get a bonus episode every week with fun facts, practical English, and also the topic in pop culture, among many other things. And if you're not getting access to that bonus episode, you are missing out. You can get it for peanuts. Poca cosa. Go to patreon.com/Alberto Alonso and check out the options. And you can get bonus episodes, you can get PDFs where you can review all the vocabulary and expressions, and you can even get private classes with me. That's if you're in our highest level, our interstellar students. If you're in our super duper students, well then you can get a weekly group class with me where we review the vocabulary. And speaking of my super duper students, let me send them a shout out right now. What's up, Marta, Javier, and Paco? And also, of course, my interstellar students, the ones who have a private class with me every month, as well as all the other stuff. Give it up for Carmen, Lina, Isa, Paco, David, Jose Maria, Patricio, and Edgar. If you want to join these amazing students, it's as simple as going over to patreon.com/Alberto Alonso. And if you're looking for a free sample, just let me know. I can send you the bonus episode or some PDFs or even a link to a video of one of our classes. But there's one thing I can say. Well, actually, two things. We're having fun and we're learning. And that's what it's all about. So keep it up, guys. And if you're not in our curious community, go over there right now, hit pause, or you don't even have to hit pause. Go over there, patreon.com/Alberto Alonso, and join in on the action. Now, where was I? Oh, right, I was milking it. I was telling you about feeling like $1,000,000, hitting the hay, a roll in the hay. Another way we said to sleep as well is to hit the sack. And that's also a word that comes from boxing, but you'll obviously know from context. Does anybody know it from pop culture? Back in black, I hit the sack. I've been so long, I'm glad to be back. Yes, I cut loose from the noose that's kept me hanging around. Back in Black, AC/DC. And then I said I was out like a light. This is a totally native way of saying I fell asleep really quickly. I passed out. To pass out is desmayarse, but in context you would say, hey, did you go to sleep late last night? No, I was on the sofa and I passed out. I think maybe the translation would be quedarse frito. I was out like a light. Me apagaron como una luz. Click. Another way to say to get some sleep is, I'm going to get some shut-eye. I'm going to get 40 winks. Also, to catch some Z's. To turn in. Voy a ir a la cama. I'm going to turn in. I'm going to put the baby down. Esto es dormir a un bebé. So as you can see, I'm not the only one who loves sleep. We love it so much, we've got a lot of different ways to talk about it. And one way we agree is to sleep like a log. Dormir como un tronco. As I said, there was no tossing and turning. And if you're tossing and turning, it means no pegas ojo. Estás dando vueltas. When you toss and turn, you don't get a good night's sleep. And that's another expression. I hope you get a good night's sleep. Eso es que duermas bien. Everybody's looking for a good night's sleep without any tossing and turning or nightmares. Yeah, nightmares can ruin a good night's sleep as well. Or acid indigestion. That's why you should be mindful about what you have for dinner. But we'll talk about that later on. How diet and exercise affects your sleeping patterns. Obviously, it's all connected. It's not just fun to sleep, but it's also great for you. I finished up the intro by saying I was sound asleep. And if somebody is sound asleep, that means they're in a deep sleep. It's not just a light snooze. And I'm sure many of you know the word snooze from the alarm button. To snooze is to sleep. It's usually a light sleep. It reminds me of to nod off. To nod off is when you're in a boring class or a meeting and your head just starts falling, this is to nod off. It's when you just can't stay awake and you need a good night's sleep. There's nothing like being sound asleep, like a little baby. And that's another one we say, to sleep like a baby, which is weird because babies wake up every 3 hours. That's not a good night's sleep. I also use the word blissfully. Well, bliss is la dicha, la felicidad absoluta. And then I used a word slumber, and the word slumber is your sleep. In fact, it reminds me of when we were younger. We would have sleepover parties or slumber parties, and that's when people would stay over or sleep over. There's a phrasal verb, quédate en mi casa a dormir. You don't have to say, come stay at my house and sleep. You can just say, do you want to sleep over? I can't tell you how many times I used that one when I was single. Well, I didn't go straight to it, guys, but that was the end result. My place or yours? And in this case, place is casa. Where were you last night? I was at John's place. No es el sitio de John, sino la casa de John. These are totally native ways to speak. And speaking of totally native, up and at 'em. Arriba, vamos, a por ellos. This is another way of saying levanta, que hay mucho que hacer. And we never say up and at them. You always have to swallow that TH. It's mute. It's Up and Adam. It sounds like Adam, like the boy's name, like Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. Up and Adam. Let's take a glance at sleep. Now, firstly, it's an irregular verb. Sleep, slept, slept. And it's important because 1/3 of your life is spent sleeping, hopefully, unless you suffer from insomnia or you're just a party animal, a night owl. I myself am a morning person, somebody whose mind works better in the morning. I guess this all depends on your circadian rhythm. But it's so important to sleep well, to get a good night's sleep. And how many hours is a good night's sleep? Well, obviously, like everything, there's no simple answer. It depends on the person. It depends on the amount of activity. Even your elevation, where you are above sea level, affects it. But they say between 7 to 9 hours. Again, it depends on the individual. And this is enough time to allow the body to heal itself, to activate the immune system, and also to give your old heart a break. We never give our heart a break. It's working hard, pumping blood every day, so we gotta give it some time off, some downtime. Let's define sleep. Sleep is a state of reduced mental and physical activity in which consciousness is altered and certain sensory activity is inhibited. During sleep, there is a marked decrease in muscle activity and interactions with the surrounding environment. While sleep differs from wakefulness, which is a weird one, I didn't know this one, and that's more associated with mindfulness. And we're not talking about that, not today. We're talking about being awake or asleep. Notice both of those have an A before them, awake and asleep. And remember, we don't say he felt asleep. El pasado is he fell asleep. It comes from the verb to fall. Fall, fell, fallen. And let me continue with the definition. While sleep differs from wakefulness in terms of the ability to react to stimuli, and stimuli is the plural of stimulus, it still involves active brain patterns, making it more reactive than a coma or disorders of consciousness. So somewhere between sleeping and being in a coma, there's this wakefulness, this state of mind where you are almost in a trance. Now, sleep as we know it occurs in repeating periods. The body alternates between two distinct modes, REM and non-REM sleep. But that was just a dream, just a dream, just a dream. That's me in the corner. Did you get it? REM? I know you say REM, but we say REM for the group and for rapid eye movement. But don't be fooled, REM doesn't only affect the eyes. It can even include virtual paralysis of the body. But I guess the most visible way to see if somebody's in that stage of sleep is by looking at their eyelids. I think you say párpados. And what about dreams? We already said it's an irregular and regular verb. Well, dreams are a succession of images, ideas, emotions, and sensations that usually occur involuntarily in the mind during certain stages of sleep. Now, let me ask you a question. How many dreams do you think we have a night? The average human. Did you say 2? Between 4 to 6 dreams a night. And many scientists believe that dreams help your brain process the events of the day. So it's really important to dream. And even if you think you don't dream, you do. You dream every night. Another thing is remembering your dreams. But there are techniques and ways, just like there are techniques for everything, to be able to remember your dreams. But there's a whole thing behind dreams. I mean, your dreams are what tell us who you really are, what you really want. I don't just mean your dreams every night, but I mean your dreams, your hopes and dreams. It's a really deep concept. It reminds me of the quote, "The difference between a dream and a goal is a deadline." Pretty inspirational, wouldn't you say? Also the song, "Dream on, dream on, dream on, sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the laughter, sing for the tear, sing with me just for today, or maybe tomorrow, the good Lord will take you away." Of course, Aerosmith, "Dream On," which means keep dreaming. A lot of times it's used sarcastically as well. "Alberto, are you going to buy me a new car?" Dream on. Some other interesting facts. During sleep, most of the body's systems are in an anabolic state. And again, this helps restore the immune system, the nervous, skeletal, and muscular systems. And all of these processes help maintain your mood, your memory, your cognitive function, and in the function of the endocrine and immune systems. So translation, if you don't sleep, you are affecting almost every system in your body, every vital system. We mentioned the word circadian rhythm before. We all have an internal circadian clock, which promotes sleep daily at night when it gets dark. And this is something that has been researched since the beginning of time, and we continue to research sleep. Now we'll mention some sleep disorders. Some people may suffer from insomnia, narcolepsy, sleep apnea, which is something my mother suffers from. She has to sleep connected to a machine, and she literally stops breathing about 3 or 4 different times a night. She knows because her machine is connected to some computer that's giving her the data. But she could literally stop breathing, and she does. So that's a very real thing, at least in my life. Sleepwalking, that's a very logical one. Do you know any sleepwalkers? Have you ever walked in your sleep? Not me, I haven't. But I have talked in my sleep. In fact, I'm known to talk in my sleep. In fact, my mom told me once I sang the whole song, "Losing My Religion." Hey, I don't know if it's a coincidence that it's an REM song and I was in REM when I was singing it. Wow, that's weird. I never realized that. Also, as you know, light and dark affect everything. There are seasonal disorders where people use artificial light. When the days are short and we're missing that sunlight, people get depressed and it affects their sleep patterns. But also not just positive light. What about the light from your cell phone or a television? These emit large amounts of blue light, which is typically associated with daytime. What this does is it disrupts the release of the hormone melatonin. And obviously, that's the one that's needed to regulate the sleep cycle. How do you wake up every morning? Do you wake up automatically, like my grandfather did? I set an alarm just in case, but I always wake up at the same time without the alarm. The alarm is just a backup. And today, almost everybody I know wakes up with an alarm. But if you get yourself on the right schedule, you won't need one. Your body is smart. My grandfather is the perfect example. Now, don't take him out of his timetable, though. He's not going to go to bed 20 minutes later because then it will throw everything off. So you have to be a bit strict if you're going to do that. But before there were alarm clocks and wake-up calls at hotels, which, by the way, a wake-up call is when something bad happens that makes you realize something. I hope what happened yesterday was a wake-up call to you, young man. It means I hope it opened your eyes and you stop acting foolish. But before there were wake-up calls at a hotel or alarm clocks, there was a job, a guy who had a job, and his job was to go around and knock on people's windows and wake them up. Imagine having that job. First, you've got to be an early riser. You've got to get up at the crack of dawn. And second, you've got to wake people up. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like waking people up because generally people are cranky or moody in the morning or just really sleepy. And let's be honest, everybody loves to sleep in. An extra hour, that's winning. But nobody likes to oversleep. To oversleep is to sleep more than you should, but not on purpose. But also, you don't want to vary your schedule so much on the weekends that it has nothing to do with your schedule on work days. You want to adjust them because then you could have a problem called chronic circadian desynchronization. I suffered from that. I didn't know what it was called, but I remember for a period I was working at Vaughan during the week, and I was working at an Irish pub on the weekends, and it was the exact opposite schedule. And I was burning the candle at both ends. That expression means I was just overdoing it too much. I was burning myself out. I just couldn't get on a good rhythm. I wasn't tired when I needed to sleep. I was tired in the middle of the day, kind of like jet lag. One of the biggest issues, one we mentioned before, is insomnia. I can't get no sleep. Did anybody get that reference? The song Insomnia by the group Faithless. Well, I know people who suffer from insomnia, and it is not cool because it can be triggered by many different factors. Factors such as stress, physical or mental illness, living or sleeping arrangements if you're not in a good environment, even family history, your diet and your exercise habits, all of those are important. Not just in the case of insomnia, but in the case of snoring, or even if you have sleep apnea. If you're overweight, it's going to make it worse. If you're in shape, you'll snore less. So even if you have a chronic problem, there are ways you can make it better, or at least get it under control. And we're going to talk about sleeping pills in the bonus episode. Yeah, it's great, I guess, if you suffer from insomnia. But once you look at the long list of celebrities who have met their maker by overdosing on sleeping pills, then you'll say, maybe I shouldn't play with these. It's playing with fire, as we say. So there's no doubt about it. Regular exercise, a good diet, oral hygiene in general, all of these things help you sleep better at night. Oh, and don't overthink things. That's another cause of insomnia, which can lead to anxiety. Thinking is good. Overthinking is not good. So how long should it take you to fall asleep? I came across something called the 10-minute rule. And supposedly it's normal to fall asleep between 10 to 20 minutes after going to bed. And remember, we don't say I'm going to go to the bed. We say I'm going to go to bed because we're not talking about the literal bed. But either way, you know other ways to say it. I'm going to hit the hay. I'm going to hit the sack. I'm going to catch some Z's. So 10 to 20 minutes is the sweet spot. If it takes you less than 5 minutes to fall asleep, you're probably exhausted and sleep deprived. This is just one fun fact I came across, but we're going to take a look at many more fun facts and idiomatic expressions in the bonus episode. We'll wrap up with an Irish proverb. A good laugh and a long sleep are the best cures in the doctor's book. I hope you had a good laugh And I hope you'll join us on the bonus episode of this week's FYI.